Voilà, donc ils sortent un album cette semaine à Paris, en France, et ils sortiront un album studio l'année prochaine. Vous avez à peu près 40 minutes pour poser vos questions. Voici David Coverdale et Doug Aldrich de Whitesnake.
Good evening, how are you doing? Bonsoir. Ça va? And that's about the sum total of the French, so. Everything okay?
Yeah.
Bonsoir. Donc j'aurais voulu savoir sur le nouvel album qui va sortir. On a 4 titres sur le live.
Could you speak slower? No, sorry.
She translate.
Oh, okay, excuse me.
Donc il y a 4 titres du nouveau Whitesnake sur l'album live. Est-ce que la couleur de ces 4 titres, on la retrouvera également sur le nouvel album?
Okay. Will your next album be in the same
The next
style?
album?
Yeah, the
Okay.
next studio album will be in the same style as the 4 songs on your live album.
I have a feeling. We'll see how this structure, that hard rock rhythm and blues element that defines Whitesnake is pretty much where we go for. So we'll see what happens. It's like we're open. It's very important for Doug and I to take things to the next level. That's something we challenge each other each time. So we'll see what happens. But in essence, probably it'll be a similar groove.
Those 4 too, it's the first thing that Whitesnake's released new material-wise in a long time.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to have something that would appeal to the whole, has integrity of the early Whitesnake up to the current Whitesnake, and a taste of kind of where we're headed.
A lot of people were very pleased to hear that it still sounded like Whitesnake, and I said, well, it's not going to sound like 9-inch fucking nails, it's going to be Whitesnake.
Prochaine?
Okay.
Hi.
I just said it's the first new Whitesnake material from a long time.
Yes.
Were you kind of reluctant to do some new studio
Yes.
elements?
Yes, but not for any artistic reasons, for business reasons. I was not really excited to be getting involved with corporate record companies again. I did very, very well for many years, and I still am involved with some big companies, but there's hardly anybody in the industry who actually cares about music. So it's very difficult to discuss your work always as a supermarket product. And now we're working with SPV, who created a fabulous seduction. Not only do they have really good-looking women who work for them, but they actually care about music. They're fans of the music that they work with, and that's very, very important. I think, I'm sure in France, the same as everywhere else, you hear the big record companies complaining that they're not selling so many records because they don't know what to fucking sell. There's nobody there who feels for the music, so maybe that would change. And if they don't, then it will, go down.
Talking about it, okay, this deal with SPV?
Excuse me?
Okay, this deal with SPV?
Well, to be honest, they kept a fire burning for quite some time, and as did my colleague, because when we came together in 2003, I was very happy retired. Very happy being a father. I have a young son and a beautiful wife, and I live in a lovely home at Lake Tahoe in northern Nevada. I was very, very happy. I'd made over 30 years of music, and I made some good success. But then it was the 25th anniversary of Whitesnake, which I thought may be worth celebrating. So we arranged a tour for 2 months, and came home 9 months later. And it was a lot of fun. Not only for the musicians, but for the people who saw the band. So my wife and I said, well, why don't you do this a couple of months of the year, which is what was going to be the case. So I spoke to the players, and we said we work 6 months of the year, and the rest of the time I can be a happy husband and happy father.
Okay.
Have everything, in other words. Be French.
Mr. Coverdale,
Yes.
are you still walking the shadows of blues? I mean, we are now in the 21st century. There are new influences, there are new songs, there are new sounds that you can join to new music.
Yeah, whatever. I think everyone is I don't know what the French would be, but in the kitchen you have a blender where you put
a mixer.
all mix of things, and I listen to so much music, and of course new inspiration with my new partner. But Doug is also a big fan of Whitesnake, so he knows the elements that I enjoy, putting my songs on. I'm just telling stories of experiences that I have, having some fun, and whatever. And evidently, people seem to enjoy the sentiment, the stories.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm not going to be. I'm very politically aware and I'm very environmentally aware. But I've never wanted to write songs about fucking trees. I don't know, some strange thing.
Sure.
Hello, David.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. I think in '99 you have released a solo album on EMI Records. Yeah.
1990? No, 2000. Into the Light.
2000. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you knew about it.
Yeah. In fact, I remember about this album, and it was really different because you didn't want to scream anymore.
My Tarzan.
Yeah. And how did you have the will to come back and to recover your screaming voice in a hard rock context with Whitesnake?
Well, it's very strange because most of my career has been a lot of screaming, lots of screaming, and I do love to sing. And I thought this may be an opportunity after I worked with Jimmy Page to do that. But I must confess that after finishing it, I was going, why didn't I do some more? Raise the key so I could project much more. It's very much fun, more fun for me to be power, big butch Tarzan shit, It's, but I think with Whitesnake we can cover pretty much lots of aspects. It took me a long time to be able to feel comfortable to make a song like Is This Love? Because for many years I would write a quiet intro and then go, oh my God, I better bring the group in, So you'd have songs like Here I Go Again or Loving a Stranger, Now You're Gone, Ain't Gonna Cry No More. And that became quite a musical identity for Whitesnake to have the whisper to a scream scenario. But one of the things that Doug and I are enjoying now is this unplugged shit. It's, so maybe we will mix it up more. Yes.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
I would like to come back about the lineup. It has been together for 4 years.
Yes, it's actually the longest surviving lineup.
Okay, so can you tell me more about the relationship between all of
Yeah, well, you go ahead.
Well, David handpicked everybody for this lineup, and it's really interesting because everyone's got a different personality, but we actually it just gels together really, really well. And everybody's obviously Tommy is one of the most phenomenal drummers, and Red Beach is an amazing guitar player. Timothy Drury on keyboards, he played with the Eagles, and
Don Henley.
And the new boy Uriah Duffy is one of these guys.
He's hot.
He can play anything, and he's fit in amazingly well. From the first day he started, it was great. But it's got a good chemistry,
It started off, in essence, it's a bonus that everyone gets on socially well, because of course the most important premise that everyone's going to work together well as a musical unit, but individually and collectively they're great people to work with, good sense of humor, and we're very respectful to each other's privacy, so as soon as we finish working everyone goes to their homes, It's a perfect setup.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, you two. I got a question for Doug and one for David. The question for David is, do you have a secret recipe? Because we are a website specialized on singers, and do you have a secret recipe for your voice? Because it's hard to practice. Sometimes you scream, sometimes you do ballads. So do you have exercises or things like that?
Yeah, they're pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It's all noises, it's like to open up the throat and the chest and the sinus. It's I'm not going to tell them. Maybe I should make an exercise CD. But very important for me is I changed about 10 years ago. I took on learned to meditate and changed my life, a great deal of my lifestyle. So I wasn't drinking so much. I stopped smoking. Started to do yoga, be more respectful to my body. And the interesting thing was, the more I got into meditation, the more I could sense when my body didn't want to have coffee anymore, it didn't want to have red meat anymore. It was an amazing adventure to be on. But it's really boring for me to do these exercises, but it makes sense. But it's all exercises to open up the sinus, so you don't sound like this, and to open up the voice. Because when I work in a rock environment, I thrash the shit out of my voice. It's very, very aggressive. So, Johnny Bon Jovi, he does warm-up exercises after a show, which, not for me, no. The first is enough. It's a workout, like you would work out for your body. And you do that, and hopefully in a hotel nobody's listening,
And I got a question for Doug. You've played with a lot of famous people. I mean, what's the difference between working with these people like Ronnie James and stuff, and David? It's cool. Yeah. Besides that.
Well, this feels like, I've been a fan of Whitesnake for a long time. I had a friend that turned me on to some early Whitesnake before I had, in the States, that some of those records weren't as well known. So Slide It In was kind of the first one that in the U.S. people knew about. But I learned about some of the older records, Love Hunter and Ready and Willing, Come and Get It. And, well, actually, we were hanging out one day and Come and Get It was on, and I said, "Who the fuck is this, man?" And he goes, "That's Whitesnake." So it was like that. I discovered how cool the early stuff was, as well as obviously 87 and Slip of the Tongue. They were great records, but it feels like being at home. This is what I've been thinking about. I visualized a long time ago, and I didn't know how to meditate or anything like that, but I visualized, I bet if I was working with David, I could do a really good job. I'm hoping that I'm still learning, but I really have a lot of care about the integrity of Whitesnake, and I do whatever I can to keep it going good.
The other thing about working with all of these guys and anybody in any working environment that you guys are doing, journalists or whatever, it's got to be inspiring to work with people. Otherwise, it's cabaret. And none of us are that style. I couldn't do it. It's not something that's going through the motions. It's not being put together to capitalize on some fucking fashion cycle of rock or whatever. It's just genuinely stuff that we want to do. Not inspiring each other to do that.
Hello. Your next.
Oh, that's it. Fucking voice came from behind there. Sorry.
So on the next album you'll be doing, what can we expect from the lyrics and from the themes?
Well, I should imagine more mature naughtiness. As I say, it's unlikely there'll be songs about trees. And I have absolutely no respect at all for George Bush, so I wouldn't be writing anything for him. It will be probably exploring love in an assortment of positions, some happy and some sad. It's something that I'm stuck with, and I accept that. It's my destiny to write. As every time I try to move away from it, it keeps pulling me back in. It's like Al Pacino in Godfather. Every time I try to. I write love songs, that's it.
Hello, David. I'm very happy to meet you tonight because it's a very special day. I meet my favorite singer. You're my favorite singer. You're my favorite singer.
Oh, well, you're my favorite Frenchman. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you, cheers. So I have no special question. I just want to say that words can explain my feeling that I'm very happy to meet you. And then I have also a present for you if you want to accept it, of course. It's the record, my last album.
Perfect. I would like that very much. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe I will give it to you
afterwards. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Next.
Give me the mic. Thank you, David. I'm back again. On your official website, you said...
Whitesnake.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good one.
On my official website.
Official. You said that you try to play.
It's all good Christmas decorations now, just so you know.
Wonderful.
I'm dreaming of a Whitesnake Christmas.
Yes, it's a wonderful website. I mean, you said you tried to play Guilty of Love, but you said we were not connecting with it. In the same...
forgive me again, which...
Guilty of Love, the song Guilty of Love, you tried to play at the beginning of the tour, long time ago. And the same Mistreated was forgotten after Japan. Can you explain us why?
Exactly. It's just like wearing clothes that don't feel comfortable anymore. That's the only simple way I can explain it. Some songs absolutely feel right, and others don't fit anymore. And the band played, I know it was disappointing to people, because I'd said before, we're going to do Mistreated, and the band played it great. Doug was roaring on it, and I sang it fine. I just didn't feel it. It just was...
That's pity for the fans. They want.
But I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to bullshit anybody. That's if I'd been lying to people in my performance, I wouldn't have a career of over 30 years. I've got to be honest in what I do. It's tough, you know. And when we tried Guilty of Love, it just didn't feel right. The guys were playing it great, and I sat with everybody, and Tommy said, no, I don't feel comfortable doing it.
It's better not to play.
Yeah, exactly. And God, if you're only coming to a Whitesnake show for one song, then, you know, what about the other 15 or whatever?
In the same way, in 1976 and 77, you made two beautiful albums, North Winds and Whitesnake, with very moving and beautiful songs like Only My Soul or Blind Man. We can get one day the luck to hear that songs again?
Oh, in concert? I don't know. One of the things that may be a possibility, we're having a lot of fun. When we got involved with SPV, there was such enthusiasm. And then they said, oh, do you want to do in-stores? And I was going, I've never done a fucking in-store. And then I said, if we're going to do that, let's make it interesting. So we are stripping down powerful rock songs into just one acoustic guitar, and I'm reinventing the vocal for the song. Okay. So I mean, maybe one day we'll do some kind of tour where those songs would be more appropriate in that atmosphere, without, you know, rather than stop, you know, because right now it feels to me with the the release of this Live in the Shadow of the Blues, it's like the end of a chapter. It's time for a new book.
You turn the page.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I understand.
That's one thing I want to add too to that, was that, you know, the live show now, we've done some really cool set lists, but now, you know, there's an opportunity to be a little more diverse, you know, maybe do some acoustic stuff and pull out some gems, you know, that everybody wants to hear, but maybe present them in a different way, so you still get to hear David sing them.
It's getting out of a comfort zone. You know, when you've been doing something for so long and you go, "Ooh, that's new. Maybe you shouldn't go there." But like, this is new. What we're doing and tomorrow, I think we're doing some theatre somewhere, and we have a question and answer thing with the people who come in there, and just make it a close and personal experience. And it's a lot of fun. I've never been in that environment before, but doing that has probably opened a door to try this in a concert where we stop the big, you know, exciting stuff and do some more intimate music. It's, you know, it's got to get David out of the fucking comfort zone, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whitesnake est réputé pour avoir toujours eu de très très bons guitaristes.
You're doing it again.
Donc, réputé pour avoir eu toujours de très bons guitaristes. Aujourd'hui, on a Doug qui cède à Adrian Vandenberg, Steve Vai et John Sykes. Si jamais Doug devait quitter Whitesnake, qui conseillerait-il à David pour le remplacer?
Hello.
Hello. If Doug came to leave the band,
No.
which guitarist would you advise to David to take in Whitesnake?
I love all those guitar players that you mentioned, and a few more.
He's not leaving. That's simple. Yeah, so.
I would, you know, if the only way I would leave would be probably as if. No, I won't even go there. But what I would say is this: I would hope for somebody that had as much caring as I do about the opportunity that is to work with David, and somebody that kind of, you know, it's very difficult. It's a lot of pressure because you got the old guard, and they love, you know, Marsden, Moody, those guys. Then you got people who love Steve Vai, obviously John Sykes, and then you got Blackmore fans who are the hardest.
Jimmy Page fans.
You know, so it's very difficult for somebody like me, but I mean, I feel that I do a good job at covering all that ground, and also, obviously, with Red Beach, our styles are different, and it gives us an opportunity to cover all those things. But I would hope for somebody that was into it as I am, has as much integrity about Whitesnake.
It's really weird, you know, it's a strange question. But what we were saying earlier about why don't you do certain songs, because they don't feel, they're like clothes that don't really fit anymore. And that's a scenario that working with Doug now is such a great fit socially, you know, as friends and as musicians. It would be just very disappointing if anything negative happened to create that scenario, because this just works. It works really well on every level.
En fait, c'était juste une question déguisée pour demander à Doug quel guitariste aujourd'hui il appréciait le plus.
I can tell you the most inspiring guitarists I've worked with all of the people I've worked with, was Richie Blackmore, Jimmy Page, Adrian Vandenberg, and Doug Aldrich. There's no question. It's not because he's here. This is a situation where it's very fresh for me to work with somebody so committed and so passionate that I can trust with Whitesnake to do this, what's necessary. Anyway, so you were going to...
Who is your favorite guitarist?
Of all time?
Yeah.
David Coverdale. No, you guys should hear him. When we're
I'm a domestic guitar god.
Yeah. When we're writing, you know, when we're writing and stuff, we're playing acoustic guitar, and he plays really well. And he's got some pretty badass blues licks and stuff. But I would say if I had to pick one, you know, it changes. But I'm old school. I love, you know, the Fab Four, you know, and a few more. But like Hendrix, Beck, Clash and Page, Pete Townsend, and then Richie Blackmore, Tony Iommi. But right now, we just saw Jeff Beck play about a month, 2 months ago, something. And the guy, again, just blew my mind. It's amazing. It was stunning.
You know, when my initial ambition was to be a singer and a guitarist, you know, and then when I was 15 years old, I saw Jimi Hendrix in Newcastle, and I went, fuck, I think I'll be a singer. So I just use guitar or whatever to write, but I do know what a good guitar player is and what all the elements that are necessary.
There isn't many people that have worked with as many great guitar players as David. You know, you think about all those guys, it's pretty amazing, don't you think?
I think that since the album Whitesnake 87,
it's the 20th anniversary next year.
Yeah.
Can you fucking believe that?
Yeah. I noticed that on the pictures, live and the studio sessions, the fact of being good looking is as important as the music, because
it's a fucking bonus.
Yeah. In fact, before '87, the look was more rock and roll, but now I think that it's more calculated, more precise, and it's
no calculation.
No,
not at all. There's nothing premeditated there. It's how it's unfolded. You know, you cannot turn around and say, it's interesting. Yeah, when I put Whitesnake together, the very first one, I've continued to put Whitesnake together on the premise of musicality, and the fact that these guys are presentable to look at. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Was not a premeditated. Oh, let's get good-looking guys in there. You know, there never has been. The prerequisite for Whitesnake is the musical ability. The rest is just bonus materials.
A question for Doug. You're now part of this incredible list of guitar players that played in Whitesnake. Was it challenging to play some such great song written by others and to put your own stuff in?
Yeah, it's always a challenge. It's something that you have to. There's certain, you know, things that are very important to the song and to a guitar solo. You know, when you're playing it. So I try to keep the integrity of those things. I know when people come to a show, they want to hear the solo or the song presented in a way that makes them feel good. And now we've got some new songs on this record, and they're amazing to play live. It's going to be really, really fun. But I think the main thing is that for me, I got to keep setting the bar higher and keep learning. You know, I get feedback from people about what they expect from a Whitesnake guitar player. So I'm still learning. You know, I want to get better. I'm going to keep going.
It's amazing nowadays that with the internet and with band websites or whatever, you can have direct dialogue with people who support your work. And the whole sum total of the last of all of 2006 is the fulfillment of everything that people have asked for on Whitesnake.com, which was primarily was when we said, what more do you want? Because I didn't really want to get back into that music business. And the immediate request was for a live in concert DVD, which we delivered this year. A live greatest hits. Here you go. Some new songs. There's your appetizer for next year. So it's basically, we're working in tandem with people who actually support the, directly support the band. It's a remarkable opportunity for that shared experience.
I got a question too.
And the other thing is about good looking. We do have the best looking audiences in the fucking world. Sorry, excuse me.
No problem. First of all, it's good to see you back in Paris because it was so long time.
Listen, this city makes me fucking horny. I swear we were coming in from the airport today and I was feeling frisky. It's fucking Paris. We've got to do something to get Whitesnake up in France. We have to.
And maybe
I swear.
A show next year or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, all you can do, the agent puts the word out that Whitesnake's going to tour. And if you don't get any enthusiastic response back from the promoters in a particular country, then you don't get to play there.
Maybe we change now.
Yeah, well, yes, a new record. Mind you, I worked with Claude Carrere for fucking too long. That was a kiss of death. Yeah.
You were talking about how Doug is fantastic, which is...
sorry.
How Doug is fantastic as a
guitar player. Absolutely. He's got all the ammunition I fucking need.
But you've got also another guitar player in the band, which is Red Beach.
Yes.
Do you consider Red as part of the band, or just a single guest?
No, please don't misunderstand. Not at all. When we set this up, Doug was the first musician that I approached to get together. Tommy coming back in was an absolute bonus because I never ever go back in time. It's always a learn from the past and move on. But when I was working with the original bass player, Marco Mendoza, he did a lot of sessions with Tommy, and he said, by the way, Tom, and I was looking for a Tommy-style drummer, and he says, well, why not call Tommy? He's told me he's interested, which is just great. Reb was actually the last one in place, and I said to him, a big focus will be on Doug, because I really believe, in his worth as a musician. So I said, I'm going to be pushing him to help him build an identity. Guitarists, there's fucking millions of them, but when you hear the guitarists he was talking about earlier, you can hear their identity. You know when it's Eddie Van Halen, you know when it's Steve Vai, you know when it's Jeff Beck, you know when it's, Pagey. I wanted to help him get to that spot with my love of the guitar. So I explained all this to Reb, and then they connected really well. Doug is actually the band leader of Whitesnake, and he gives Reb some of the biggest solos there. And a month ago, I said, right, I sent an email out to all the guys and said, we're putting together all the song, ideas or whatever for the next record. Send your demos right now. And I haven't been home for a couple of weeks, but I never got anything back. But Reb has promised that he will write the new Still of the Night. So, got fingers crossed,
And you are talking about a new album, which is cool for us because a few years ago you said you would not come back into this business again.
And I was absolutely honest about that.
What makes the change, and...
Just the way it has. The big dilemma, if you make interviews and you make statements, then they're always there to haunt you. But whatever I said a couple of years ago was absolutely true. I had no desire to get back into to a record company contract. Whitesnake still sells a lot of records around the world, I'm very happy to say so. It's not really necessary to go out and bust my nuts you know. Certainly in my respectful senior years. But this is just how it's unfolded. The way the audiences are coming there, we're getting at least a third of the audience of 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And lots of good-looking babes as well. It's very inspiring. The band's inspiring. We have a new record company who seems to be very supportive right now, and all of these elements are just impossible for me to refuse. So I'm going to give it another shot. I'll give it the best I can.
Merci.
My pleasure. Oh, that's it.
Miriam, you know, I wanted to...
Have you moved?
Yeah, I got a twin sister.
I was going to say, yeah, good fantasy.
So I wanted to know, you know, in London you recently received, the band received two awards for the best band and best DVD. So can you tell me more about your reaction about that?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, number one, I haven't had a good relationship with the UK press for many years. Oh, no. It's very interesting. In a small country, they kind of build you up, and then when you do become successful, they want to tear you down. And it got so bad, I actually decided that there wasn't anything to keep me in England, and I moved to Los Angeles to work with Geffen and to make Whitesnake popular in America. Unfortunately, that worked. So Whitesnake became, other than China, pretty global, you know. So to be invited over and to be nominated, and this is nominated with the cool thing is it's nominated by the people. It's not like a bunch of journalists saying, "Oh, let's put these guys in." And we were up against the Stones, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica. There was, you know, a lot of big boys there. So it was amazing that I thought maybe we might get one, but to get both of what we were nominated for was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And they're big fucking heavy things too to fly back to home with.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. This year has been pretty magical all around. So that was like an early Christmas present.
That's good.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
You look like a big boy.
Like Aldrich.
I'll be very polite.
If we consider that every characters is one you worked, it's the timeline of the book, what kind of book could it be?
A book about my life?
Yeah.
It would be called How White Was My Snake. But as I'm very respectful to people I've known through my life, I don't think it would be, it's not something that, I write about these experiences in songs, I just don't use names. So basically I'm writing the book each time I write and record songs.
Thank you.
My pleasure. You guys have got really good microphone technique.
Vous êtes au courant que le hard rock a gagné l'Eurovision l'année dernière. Quel regard avez-vous sur cette victoire de Lordi à l'Eurovision?
What do you think about Lordi winning the Eurovision contest?
Of who? Oh, God, yeah. All right, okay, this is last year, or... I was treadmilling in Japan. Was that this year?
Yeah.
Okay, the beginning of this year, so it was when we started. And I think I was somewhere in Japan, I'm in the gymnasium in the hotel, and I see on the TV the news on like CNN, Lordi wins the Eurovision. I thought it meant John Lord. So I was trying to send him a telegram, congratulations, I thought you'd retired, it's so cool. I still haven't heard the song. It was just, it's, and it's pretty bad because I should, Finland's very supportive of us, but I've still never heard the song, but I don't know, is it any good?
Sure.
They look like Klingons,
It's funny. It's funny. It's good.
Oh, whatever, good luck to them, but no, it's... John, yeah, I thought it was John Lord.
Last one after. Thank you.
Somebody over here, I think, needs to
After,
get
I give after, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. 2 months ago, Richie Blackmore was in the Olympia with the Blackmore Night.
Oh, okay.
And Candice Night sang Soldier of Fortune.
Yes, I heard.
You know, what do you think of female vocals on that song?
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I was very, very concerned, once again, with the music business. There was a beautiful record by a woman called Alanis Morissette, 10 years ago or something. It was very, very successful, and the record company just jumped on it, and for 5 years we heard nothing but girl singers. You know, I love women's voices. I think it's amazing, and Richie is really happy doing what he's doing, and I salute for it. It's a lot of rumor now, because I've signed with SPV, which is also Richie's label. So there's on the internet, it's like Blackmore Coverdale record. No, I don't think I could wear the costume.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Just a quick question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A quick question. You can say that Whitesnake is a band again.
Yeah.
But will you forbid to do some experiences that you did before, like with Jimmy Page, or will you?
Yeah, I don't have time.
You don't have time.
It's and there are certain things that I'd love to do, but I'm loving this, and this is really precious. The most important lesson I've learned for a long time that my life was missing was balance. It's really simple, but it's the simple things that escape you. I have such a precious private scenario with my family. I'm not risking that for industry or whatever. It will have to be balanced between that. The difficulty will be that Doug and I were realizing recently that we literally worked every day this year. And the great thing is we have very supportive partners. And it's okay for the rest of the guys because they go home. Rev just did a tour with Winger, which was fine because it's no conflict with Whitesnake. If Whitesnake's not working, I don't expect these guys to sit around. Go out and work, you know. But we've worked every day this year, and we need some family time. But we've made a commitment now to do a new record. So the bonus is we have studios at home, so we'll still be working, you know. Hello!
Hello, David. Well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Glenn Hughes said a few years ago that you wouldn't be against a reunion, at least a one-off show.
Excuse me, I what?
Glenn Hughes.
Oh, Glenn, yeah.
Yeah, Glenn said that you wouldn't be against a reunion tour, or at least a one-off show.
No,
what about you?
The one-off show for charity, yes. And also the other bottom line would Richie would have to be involved. I wouldn't even consider it without Blackmore's involvement. Blackmore was my mentor when I joined Deep Purple, and I feel that the elements, the dynamic of Deep Purple was very changed without his involvement. But I spoke to John Lord. This rumor started from John, an interview with John where he had a couple of cocktails. And the journalist said, you know, what is any ambitions that you have? And he said, well, I'd love to have all the Deep Purple together again. It's like fucking crazy. Nobody talks to each other. But it is a great idea, and maybe make it for charity. If everyone was involved, maybe bless him, a cardboard picture of Tommy Bolin or something, or, you know, on the side. But Glenn and I spoke about this. He called me over a year ago saying, have I heard anything about the reunion? I said, no, I have no dialogue with anybody from... I have no respect for the management of Deep Purple because they keep putting out piece of shit after piece of shit Purple records that we can't do anything about. So I won't have anything to do with them at all. So Glenn and I are dialogue. In fact, he presented me with one of the awards in London a couple of weeks ago, which was amazing to see him. He looks great. And he's touring, I think, right now. I don't have time. Richie doesn't have time. John Lord's retired. Ian Pace is in Deep Purple, so I don't know where this has started. You know?
La dernière, et après c'est fini.
Good evening.
Hi.
I saw you this summer at the Wacken Open Air Festival.
At the Wacken?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where this is shot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I recognize the images. And this, this proved to maybe the world that to the few people who didn't know it, that you can still attract a crowd of 30,000 to 50,000 people to one of your shows. And I wondered, before you started to come back into this whole business and this whole touring, at any point, did you doubt that the people would welcome you back? Did you have any kind of fear about that?
Well, I don't do fear. I don't do fear. I don't recommend that you do it either. I don't think I thought about it, to be honest. It was a situation, I'd gone out on a limited aspect, which was only going to be a 2-month scenario. Was it 2 or 3 months? And it was so overwhelmingly positive. We kept getting invited to go further and further, which is what, instead of 2 months, it turned into 9 months, with breaks, of course, in 2003. But there's the temptation to do that, regularly. And I think what's going to make Whitesnake different, we're going to tour now, probably annually, but only for maybe 3-4 months of the year. It's got to be that situation. I'm 55 years old now, and that kind of energy that's necessary will necessitate, me taking breaks in order to be able to be fucking Tarzan at 55, Because I don't have the luxury of Mr. Jagger, who has a different style of song, that he can make the keys lower. I don't know whether you understand that, but the music can be lower, and you can go, I can't get no, very punchy, whereas Still of the Night, still a fucking, it doesn't work in a Frank Sinatra environment. So I've got to be really careful that I can physically perform with these hot shots.
Okay, merci. Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
It's great to be in Paris.
Thank you very much indeed.